shine.
Hey, what's up guys, it's Slime103 here, and welcome to part 1 of my hammer tutorial series. I said I'd be doing this as part of the contest to help you guys who are just starting out and you're beginners. So hopefully this will help you out quite a bit. I am leaving on vacation in a couple of hours here to the East Coast. UPS truck outside, but I just want to get this out quickly while I still can. I might do some stuff on my laptop over vacation, but no guarantees. It's 1 week until I get back, so nothing until then. But the first thing you want to do here is pre-planning is very important for something like designing a level. Obviously you wouldn't build a skyscraper without a blueprint, so just basic floor plan. I've already drawn something out here so you don't have to sit and watch me and wait. But as you can see, there's a ramp here. Just label things. These two lines indicate doors. You can do it however you want. This right here is a ladder. CYL for cylinder, V room, and you just want a basic idea. This is going to be a fountain, and then once you have that, I recommend a pencil and paper. It's just the easiest. Go ahead and jump into hammer. It's going to be under tools in your library. You'll find it, double click on it, install it, all that, super easy. Then launch up hammer. Sorry if I'm going kind of quick here, just not much time. I've already created a level, but what you want to do is do file new, and it's gonna pop up for you. So this should start with the red and the blue crossing, and that is where the center of your map is. I'm sorry, where the two teal lines are. There we go. So let's go ahead and find that. As you can see, there is a maximum distance in hammer, and what you're going to want to do is change this to dev just to get started. Make sure this is on 3D shaded texture polygons. By default this should be your XY. This is basically the top down view. This is XZ, which is your side view. This is YZ, which should be the front view. You probably don't know what any of these are yet, but for today we're going to be going over the selector tool, the block tool, the clipping tool, and the vertex edit tool to just keep things real simple. Nothing else but that. And make sure you're on dev. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing you want to do is grab the block tool. Shift B is the shortcut, Shift S for selector tool, and let's just draw something out. Let's see, something just, I don't know, like this. 16 is usually average wall thickness slash whatever, floor thickness. As you can see, we've created that nowhere near the center. Press Z to move around in the 3D view. Let's see, where are we? Oh, there we are. Sometimes it can be kind of hard to see. I think it's probably best to start things towards the middle of the map, just to keep things simple. And once you have something drawn out, use the entity tool. Just click anywhere. I'm not going to go into that in part 1. We'll do that in part 2. But that is just for reference, so that you know how big everything is. So as you can see, we're probably going to want to scale this down just a little bit. So now we have our room. So I'm going to go over how to use all the tools, and then I'm going to create our actual blueprint after I explain everything. So with the selector tool, again, Shift S is the shortcut. You can hold Shift and drag, and that is going to allow you to duplicate a brush. And then if you hold Control and click again, you can select multiple brushes at the same time. So brushes are the bare bones of your level. It's pretty much the most important part. It is the world geometry and what the player is going to be interacting with, essentially. So it's kind of the most important. So let's talk about the clipping tool. So I'm just gonna go over here. Let's duplicate this. I'm gonna make it into a block. As you can see, we have a block right here. And the clipping tool, I can now cut this block wherever I draw these lines. Make sure you're gonna want to probably keep these on grid, because I'm assuming the block is going somewhere. For example, a ramp. So make sure that you keep this on grid. When you start to go out like this, as you can see where the where the brush is going to end here, it's not on the grid, so we don't really want that. We want to keep everything on the same grid so everything lines up and there's no leaks. So as you can see, the white part is selected, that's what's going to be kept. If I press enter, that's what's kept. But if we select this again, go back to our clipping tool, draw this, we can click this again, it will select the other side, and we can click this again and it will keep both sides. So if we keep both sides, you could drag this out, and as you can see now, we have this sort of parallelogram thing. So there's a lot of uses for the clipping tool. Another way to actually achieve the same effect is with the Vertex edit tool. Now what this is going to do is it's going to allow you to individually adjust every single vertex. So this is going to be a lot more handy for more advanced shapes. Just basically keep everything on grid and your life's going to be easy. You're going to use both these tools a lot. It's going to depend on what you're making, but I tend to use these tools quite a bit. So what you can do is drag out something in one of the views, press enter, and it's going to select the vertices that are within that bounds, and you can adjust this how you like. And so what you probably want to do is actually, for something like this, for a ramp, you would merge those, and I think it's just slightly off. Okay, I see what's going on. So yeah, it's important to make sure that you keep things on grid. So as you can see, this got moved over. So now that those are aligned, it's gonna say merge vertices. And for a ramp, obviously we want that. So that's kind of two different ways to achieve the same effect. If you want to do more complex shapes, what you can do is draw out something. Then over here with the block tool, again Shift B is the shortcut for it. You can do arches, blocks, cylinders, spheres, spikes, torus, wedge. I will say that Hammer tends to like things with 4 vertices, so it's pretty much quads and squares and stuff. So I do recommend you stick to blocks or most everything almost. Just even like if you have an arch, make it out of blocks sort of thing. But Hammer will do that for you a lot of the time. So what you can do is press enter, it'll bring up the arch properties, select wall width, number of sides, so you want 6, and then you can preview that and go up to 12. And obviously the more sides that you add, the better it will look, but there is a maximum, and the maximum isn't too high in Hammer. But the more geometry you add, it's just going to take up more computing and processing power for the players who play the map. Another object that I use quite a bit is a cylinder. Say if you wanted to create a sewer or something. So this is going to go by what you set down here. So if you want more sides, you adjust that down here. So let's do that again. And then if you wanted to make a sewer with like a flat bottom, you could grab the clipping tool, make it like that. And then another tool that you use a lot is under tools, you can go make hollow. A lot of these are going to be you're able to be accessed by just right clicking in the grid view. So you have group, ungroup, carve, make hollow. Transform is something you'll probably use a lot. You can individually rotate, scale, and move on any of the axes. So I think we do like X, that'll make it flat. So yeah, like that. And then if we wanted to, well, let's drag this out a little bit more so it looks more hallway-ish. And then let's do make hollow. Use negative number to hollow outward. We don't really need to worry about that. 16 again is the average wall thickness. So as you can see, Hammer just does that automatically for us. And now we have kind of a sewer thing. And then we could obviously further edit this. If we wanted to ungroup this, now we can edit each block individually. And this is kind of a pain because it's not always perfectly on grid here. As you can see, it's a bit off. So just be aware of that. If for more complex shapes, you're going to use a lot more of the Vertex edit tool, and it's a lot more tedious. So just bear that in mind. So pretty much, those are the main tools you're going to be using. Spike, torus, these are all pretty explanatory. I tried using the torus on my latest map. What ended up happening was a lot of compiling errors, so I don't know, I wouldn't worry about the torus too much. Probably keep it a bit more simple. But anyways, let's go ahead and create our blueprint, which is right here. So as you can see, we have some stairs. So this is going to just provide you with some practical examples of how you'd use everything. So I like to go about 80 in thickness or something like this. And let's go, average stair height is 8. And depth is usually about 8 or 16. Or if you want obviously larger stairs or spiraling or whatever, you can do that. But let's just shift drag these into place. And what we actually need to do is add some walls. Average wall height is 128 units. Average player, not average, the player height is, we'll still have that on, we need blocks here. Average player height, why do I keep saying that? The player height is 72 units. The actual player model is slightly smaller than that, I believe, or larger. When he's crouching, then the player shrinks down to 54 units, and maximum jump height is 64 units. So it's just good to bear all these in mind, because obviously Hammer uses these grid units. I believe 1 unit equates to like 1 meter or something. That's at least in Blender. I don't think in real life though. It's a certain amount of centimeters, so I'd have to look it up, but there's some stairs. As you can see, we were able to quickly create that by just shift dragging and duplicating each stair. Now let's go ahead and control click to select all of these. And as you can see, we have all of them. Let's just do Control G to group them, so now they're all together. And what we can do now is take our clipping tool and just shave the bottom. That way, at least in most cases where the stairs are exposed, I don't think stairs are made just floating, at least in my experience. So we can go ahead and clip this again, and as you can see, looks like normal stairs. So pretty simple stuff there. Let's go ahead and make the wall. Now you want to make sure that there isn't any extra wall sticking out, taking up texture memory that's unneeded. And then probably an easy thing that we can do here is use our transform, and I think this will be 180 again. Yeah, there we go. So that'll get it in the correct orientation. And now let's begin making the floor up here. Let's go about 80. A little bit out from there. Let's go right over the middle. There we go. 80 by 80, that looks pretty good. This is going to be the V room. So that's this area, and I'll show you why. Make sure everything's good. And then we can do that. Probably the most What you're going to use most is 90, 180, and 270 degrees to flip things around. Because, like I said, most things are squares. But that's going to be our two paths. Let's go ahead and make this wall where the ladder is going to be. And as I'm just shift dragging to duplicate and then just readjusting. Keeping it real simple. Oh, there we go. So there's our ladder, or where our ladder is going to be. I'll show you how to do texturing and everything later. So let's add our walkway from the stairs. And now let us make the V room, the V's for the V room. So basically what I meant by this is we're just gonna take either our clipping tool or the vertex tool, whatever you prefer. For something like this, it's gonna probably just be easier to use the clipping tool, just less steps. So for this, we can just do flip object horizontally, and that's going to be the fastest. Pretty much what we're worried about here is speed. Obviously, we want to save as much time as possible. Most optimized workflow, make sure you know all the shortcuts, that sort of thing. Because, you know, got lives to live. So there we go. Let's go ahead and duplicate this to the other side. So now we got the stairs up to our V room. And as you can see, it's like a V. And what we can do here is, yeah, I did show the cylinder earlier, but I think just for the sake of time and everything, I'm going to just make this a square room. Yeah, that's fine. Let's go ahead and move this. Oh, they're different lengths. What you can do is adjust things on as the same, but as you can see, if you're paying attention to the X's, the X on the left is actually getting closer. And so what that is doing is it's editing them kind of not how you might expect. So it's going to edit them all differently. So what you need to do is do this individually. Let's just go to here. I know these two because they're the same length. We can do those at the same time. Let's move this back. Let's move this over and this over. Just want to make that a little bit wider. Okay. Now let's grab our wall here. Like so, and let's add an arch into the courtyard. So we're gonna leave room for a door, obviously. This is where our arch is gonna go. Let's actually probably like that looks alright, and always feel free to add a player model for reference. I just want to make sure that it looks pretty. Oops, delete that. That looks fine. And let's duplicate this. Make sure it's all lined up. It appears we need to make this come over here and like so, and over here this actually doesn't have enough vertices to do that. We just need to do this to add these walls, and boom, as you can see, we're starting to get our thing shaped up. This needs to be moved back. There we go, and now let's do the ramp in the courtyard and the fountain. Let's add the arch as well. Get this all shaped up. Probably that looks pretty good. Just gonna go ahead and duplicate this, drag it out a little bit, drag this out, bring it up here, and we're gonna go ahead and clip this, bam, and we're gonna go ahead and clip this, bam. Now we have our ramp, and can move this over. Can move this over here. Move this back, and move this right here. Now, as you can see, there's two different ways up. Let's add in our fountain. I'm just gonna go for a basic square fountain right now, just to keep things very simple. Like this, and we can add that water in a sec. Let's make sure, maybe that is more aligned with the door. So now what I want to do is I want to add an arch, so right here. So let's look at this, 72 units wide, and for the height, let's look at the height. We don't want to do that. 56. Let's go to 48. So what we can do is go with 72 by 48. We want the block tool though. And let's go to arch. Um, 16 units thick. Number of sides. There you go with 12. So what we want to do is select this, transform on the x-axis, bring this in, and this should fit right in. I am back, and I was kind of not realizing what was going on, but what we need to do here is when we do this, because it's 16 units thick for the arch, which I forgot about, is we need to make it 16 for the overlay for how I want to do this particular arch. So obviously just do it how you need to do it for whatever arch you're doing. Let's go ahead and not Z, not that. Enter a number. Okay. So there we go. It looks a bit weird, but we can just, there we go. And that looks like quite a nice arch. And this kind of goes up, which we don't want. So I actually want it to be like this. So what we need to do for this type of arch is actually draw another block around it. We don't want another arch. We need a block. And so what we now do is where any of these vertices are, we just make a cut. Sorry, not that vertice, we want the inner vertices. So right here, right here, right here, bam, bam. Oh. Get this going. So there we go. And now you can just individually edit this. Sorry, not that one. Or is it that one? this is already, so okay, yeah. So we have this, we're gonna move this vertex over this one as well, so that's on the wall. Move it up. There we go. Same thing over here. And you guys gotta go along. You could also use the clipping tool. And you can sort of see what's happening now. These things can be pretty time consuming, but that is pretty much just the way Hammer is. So there we go. We can now delete this arch that we made. Now we have our own arch, and all of these are on grid. And what you should probably do now is Control G so that they're all like such. So yeah, that is how you make the arch. We went over how to do like a sewer type cylinder thing. We have our outside ramp, our little fountain, the ladder up that is not quite a ladder yet. And so yeah, all you need to do now is just add a ceiling, but at this point I'm pretty sure you feel comfortable enough to make a ceiling, so make sure you go ahead and save that. And in part 2 of the tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make how to populate this map, how to make. In part 3 I'll do texturings and displacements, and we'll get everything going. So hope you enjoyed this tutorial and found it useful, and hopefully this helped you out a lot. As always guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one, and peace.